Hello, and welcome to the third video in the series on the Skye Black Cuillin. In today's video I continue my scramble up Sgurr and Sgurr Dubh Mor, starting from the summit of Sgurr. A link to the video on Sgurr can be found in the description below and in the top right hand corner. This is probably the most difficult munro I have climbed to date. I've had about 5 or 6 failed attempts over a 25-year period before I successfully reached the summit. The difficulty is not the actual climbing. It's a moderate scramble, and I think it's easier than Curved Ridge on Munros I. It's also a little less exposed, which is just as well, as you have to down climb everything you climb up. The difficulty here is navigating the route. If you know where you're going, there is a path you can follow for most of the way, but you can't see it in the distance, and at times it's not obvious, and it also leads to some dead ends. Even once you reach the summit, you can, and I have, taken some wrong turns and struggled to find a safe descent route. If you're unsure about the route or your navigation skills, please use a guide. Starting from the summit of Sgurr, you retrace your steps along the ridge and then start to descend the same route you ascended to the summit. As you're descending down the left hand side of the ridge at this point, you'll come to a point here. The GPS is fairly accurate for showing this point where the two paths separate, and you can see a very slight gap in some rock that takes you straight on at this point, heading north. What you can't see is you can't see the path any further ahead, and you really can't be sure that it is a path. There's very little signs of where, but there is signs if you know what to look for. And as you come round the corner, you're still wondering, is this going to, because it's a very high ledge you're on at this point, you're wondering if this is going to be another dead end, but this time it is safe to take, and it's quite an easy path to follow. It brings you onto the Bealach. Gets very vague on the Bealach, but keep to the high ground at this point. Then you'll come to this very large outcrop of rock, and you want to go down the right hand side of that and around it. When you come to the other side, you're going to climb up the left hand side of the ridge here. When you're at the bottom, there are no obvious signs of how to get up that, and it almost looks impossible, but it's nowhere near as difficult as it looks. You'll see faint signs of wear on the ground as you're walking, but you literally can only see 2 or 3 steps ahead as to where's the right route. But as you make your way up here, keeping a little bit further away from the actual ridge line, more to the left, you can zigzag up here, and it's actually quite easy. And on the descent, it's even easier. You can see the path ahead because you're looking down onto it. You make your way up almost to the top, but it's about 10 or 15 metres below the actual summit point. There's a ledge that comes along the ridgeline and works its way round the top at this point. And when you come round to here, you go down close to the top of this ridge line here. It's really hard to show it in a 2D map. You're not quite going down the very top of the ridgeline, but you don't want to descend too much, but you are descending along with the ridgeline. You're going to come to a point here where you can see through this sort of ridge line. There's a gap in the rock, like a little window, and if you go through it, you can see Wear and Skye on the opposite side, and you can take this route. I descended this way, so you can go around this side, and it meets back up with the path over here. Although at this point, most of the Wear is on the right hand side of the ridge line, and so you can follow the path here. This path, if you keep going on, the Wear shows it going on, it starts to descend quite quickly. It becomes apparent that it's maybe not the best route. I'm not saying you can't go that way, because I think if you went round and further on, I think it would work its way back up, but I don't think it's easy. I think we did actually go that way one time, and we climbed up a fairly steep gorge, which we did not want to climb back down because it was a bit tricky and quite slippy. When that starts to descend, you want to scramble up a little section, and I show that in the video. I show each of the turns in the video, and if it's a clear day, hopefully you can follow it. But you make your way up that section, and then you're going to come to a gorge, and you've got to go around to the left. It seems like you've climbed up to a dead end because there's a large drop off straight ahead. Climb round to the left, go round the gorge, and then go on a very narrow ledge, climb along the side of the gorge, and then there's a gravel path. Get onto that path, and it'll take you up another channel in the rock, climb up to the top of that section, and you'll see a clear path. And it's another path at dead ends, and if you come to that point, you want to backtrack and then climb up a little bit before it. Again, I show that in the video, and it's a reasonably easy scramble. You work your way up, zigging and zagging, and get to the summit. To descend this section is not as simple. As you're coming down, there's obvious signs of wear, and you follow them, it takes you to a very tricky section to climb down. Even when you climb back up from that section to retrace your steps, it's like a hidden little passageway on the left that isn't obvious, just a gap through some rocks. Upon closer inspection, soon realise that that's actually where you walked through on the way up, but it wasn't that obvious. I show that in the video as well because that's just a little tricky section. Once you get back onto the same route that you climbed up, you can descend it quite easily. And then from there you are retracing your steps. In the video I went down this side and around here, and that was quite straightforward as well. Joined back up onto the path, up the ridge towards that summit, and then zigzag down this side of this ridge line here, back round that big huge outcrop of rock, and then you descend from the Bielach down here, back down to the lock-in. I think I went slightly more straight down, but you zigzag down this section. There's obvious signs of wear. There are some crags, probably the lines here, that you want to keep away from, so when you get close to them you do go more to the north of them, but it's not difficult to work your way down this section. Back down to the lock-in, work your way around the lock-in, and then follow the gravel trail back down. You're going to have to down climb some sections. You want to keep more to your right as you're coming down here. If you're too close to this stream, you can scramble down it, but it's, I think, more difficult than if you keep to the right hand side. Work your way down. Once you get past the second little bit of scrambling, which was slightly trickier on the descent than climbing up, again, it's not a big scramble, absolutely no exposure whatsoever. You make your way down. There's a boulder field here, or you can go across the top of the Skye section, but you just make your way through that. Just don't go too far to your left as you're descending. There's some big crags here. You'll get back onto the path and then work your way down the path. It's just a walk out from there, back down to the corner, and then follow the path all the way back out to the caravan park and the car park. At the summit of Sgurr Dubh Mor. That's the cloud just about engulfed me now. Still lovely and clear on the Glen Brittle side. I'm going to start heading back along the ridge. The cloud's not terrible, it's clearing away. Sgurr Stair looks a bit stuck in the cloud, but there's sunshine there, so there's obviously some blue sky. I think we'll keep on heading towards Sgurr Dubh Mor and just see how it goes. Not do anything too risky. The next section of the walk joins this ridge with the point over there. Now, I've never done this section. When I climbed this summit, I did it on the other side of the mountain. So we'll see if we can keep to the path. There's faint signs of a path going straight on there. As far as I can tell from looking at the map and the GPS, it goes through this gap here and follow the ridge along the ridgeline. We'll see how that goes. Good news is that so far there is a clear visible path. It's got some big drops. And the weather's definitely lifting. So this is looking promising. I've made it to the Bielach. So it's along here. There is signs of a path there, so hopefully that remains visible. It kind of goes up there somewhere, up towards that top. Just, I think it's about 30 or 40 feet below the top. There's a flattening off, and then there's a clear path from there that goes down to the low point, makes its way up and along. You do not go up that nose. You go a bit further to the right, and there's a scrambling bit just up around about there. There's a couple more people at the top. This section, even without cloud, is still quite tricky to navigate. Because it's lots of large boulders, there's no wear. There are signs from time to time, but there's not a consistent path to follow. And as you've got to work your way around boulders and over boulders, you can easily change direction. So it's very difficult terrain to navigate. This is right at the start of the descent route from this little beelach down to the lock-in. A little bit away from that big lumpy rock there, and you can see there's a wee channel through the rocks here. And when I was slightly further down there, wasn't sure which way to go, and typically if you're in doubt, head to the high ground on the ridge. It's usually where most people go. So now I'm going to follow this. I've got two different maps showing going round this big boulder ahead, one to the left and one to the right. I think it's going to be to the right, but we'll see where the where goes. Just now the path is quite clear. I've done this bit before. It was in such thick cloud that I have no idea where we went. You can see where the route is up there. But from here it's kind of heads straight up here somewhere. We'll just see if the path makes itself known to us. So once you come round that big rock, it looks like we're going to go up the left hand side a little bit of this edge. Also looking at one of my routes, the Walk Highlands route, it seems like there's a descent path goes down just there. So might just go down at this point when I get back here, a little bit more direct. Sgurr Stairs clear again. I will say with this kind of terrain, it's very steep, a little bit scrambly. It's not actually exposed, so if you don't look too far ahead, it's not scary. But if you do look, just look up, you're like, how can you get up that? But it seems to be okay so far. This is now proper full-on scrambling. Still got the walking poles out, so it's not difficult. Going to head a little bit straight ahead, kind of to the left, then it's going to bend sharply to the right. It's been reasonably easy to follow the wear marks on the rock. It's not too much further to get up this bit. We're going round to the left. Put the poles away now because it really is full-on scrambling. But this ground is very slow to cover. Just a lot of careful placing of your feet and your hands. Another tip, always look back at where you've come from. It looks very different to the way it looks on the way up when you're going down. So you want to have some points of reference to make sure you're on the right route. Looks like it just goes up here. I'm almost at the ridge path. I think it's just before that bit of rock there, literally 10 metres away. Then we'll turn to the right, contour around this little top, and then follow the ridge path down to the beelach and then up the other side. Looking across at Sgurr Stair, the highest point there, and then in the distance behind it, the inaccessible pinnacle. Sgurr Dubh. Yeah, that looks a bit tricky, that bit there. And I'm now on the ridge path. It is a little bit below the actual summit here, so you don't go all the way to the top. And the last time I followed this path, I had no difficulty following this to the next top. So hopefully it's the same today. It's lovely now the views have opened up again. There's the summit of Sgurr Dubh Mor. You pretty much zigzag straight up the front there. Keep away from the left hand side. And then we're just going to walk down. Path goes down along this ridge line, down past the Beelach. And just, it should be obvious to follow the weir up there today. Just looking back, there was a point back there that there was a path going low. Sometimes people go low because they think it's safer. I actually went kind of high, maybe to the middle, and I think this way is the easier route. So it's just something to keep in mind. But you can always take one path, and if it starts to look too difficult, backtrack to where another one split off and then try the other one. Don't do anything that you're not comfortable with. This little wedge path keeps going on, but now it starts to descend at that point, or at this point. You want to start going up here. Not much signs of a path, but I think it gets a little bit clearer just a wee bit further up before that little scramble to the top. Now I'm not going to climb straight up that bit. I'm going to go around, follow the rock, descend just slightly there. You can see the path. Follow that gravel path. It's going to take me up into that area there. And it's thereabouts where you start going up. After coming up that little gully, turn to your right. It's just ahead, we're going to go up to the left. But you'll see further ahead, the path continues. So you don't follow the path all the way along. This point right here marks the start of the ascent. What you'll see is there's a big square block or rectangular block of rock there, so you don't want to keep going on. Just go up the corner here, climb along, make your way up here. The good news is I've made it onto the ridge and there's no cloud. Fortunately the summit isn't that way, because that looks quite difficult to get to the high bit there. So when you get to the top, you turn to the left, walk your way along. The summit is a very small pile of rocks just beyond that boulder. The other good news is that climb is a scramble. I would say a grade 2 maybe. It's not as difficult as Curve Ridge. It's not as exposed as Curve Ridge. There's no section of that you're really up in the air with a big drop below you. It is quite steep and you're having to do a bit of smearing. There's good handholds. Just take your time. If you can scramble, you should be okay. And if you're trying to climb something that seems really difficult, probably not going up the easiest part. At the summit of Sgurr Dubh Mor. I said Blavin had some of the best views of the Cuillin Ridge. I was wrong. You can see the end pin very clearly over there. Group of climbers at the base of it. You can also see some climbers on the top of Sgurr Dubh. For me, that's been one of the most difficult and scariest munros to climb. It's got such a steep slope on that side and it's a vertical drop on the other side. We did it in the wet and it was quite, some sections were quite slippy. And you're just like, if you go, you're not going to stop. Again, that's a scramble, and it's a more difficult scramble than coming up here. Sgurr Alastair isn't too difficult. A little tiny bit of scrambling up that side there. A little bit of exposure whilst you're doing it, but it's not difficult. And it's one of the easiest ones to navigate. So you can see Blavin there over in the mist, the misty cloud. And now looking across to Sgurr Dubh. That was this morning's munro. You can see there's a little path down there, so there's obviously a wee walk down there as well. I'll just go back to where I scrambled up, just over the other side of that boulder. It has taken a little over 5 hours to get here. So the full Cuillin Ridge is now visible. Starting with Sgurr Dubh Mor. It is a bit hazy. It's not cleared up as much as it said it would, even in the forecast at 11 o'clock. Sun comes and goes. It's nice when it's out. The very summit is, yeah, it's a little bit exposed. I'll probably have mentioned this in the introduction, but this has been my nemesis of a munro. The most difficult munro I've ever climbed so far. Took about 6 or 7 attempts and mostly failed due to bad weather, making navigation almost impossible. But one time we did get fairly close, just didn't realise how close we were, and we were fatigued because we climbed up and down every point in this ridge before getting here. And some of it, if you try climbing up, is very difficult, where you're meant to just go round to the side. So from the summit, going to head kind of east, a little bit south of east, along the ridge past that block, and just down climb all of the scrambling that I came up. Take it nice and easy. Once you get down there, follow the same route down and along and back up almost to that top over there. Go round the top and then follow the path that takes you back down towards that big boulder. Once you get down to that boulder, you're past all the really tricky stuff. And then I'll walk back out, a little tiny bit of scrambling just beyond the lock-in. So this is the start of the descent route that I'm taking. Just down here in zigzag. So that was a wee bit tricky. I came down, seen there's a path going down there, went a wee bit further and went, I don't recognise this. Had to look around a bit. When you've come down here, you have to go bend to your right. Path's kind of hidden in the rocks. So it can be a little bit tricky in the descent. Like I said before, if it seems too difficult, probably going the wrong way. Just retrace your steps, climb back up a bit, and then look at different options. A little bit of relief. That's the hardest scrambling section completed. Safely back down. But you really can't let your guard down. From here back to the lock-in is all dangerous. On a day like today, nice and sunny and clear, easy enough to navigate. I've been here in thick cloud. And we actually, that very day, we walked along to the end there and we gave up. Too fatigued, too many wrong turns, too many dead ends. So from here, you just turn back down this little gully, then go along to the right, follow the ridge up to the top over there. There is one tricky little ledge to cross along the side of. That would hurt. It's just if you move, like if you twist yourself and maybe bump the rock with your rucksack, it could push you off balance. Don't look down. From here, let's go up and around, back over and down over there. There's another path here going around the right hand side of this rock. I came up that side. It doesn't look bad. I think I'll go this way, see what it looks like. You don't want to go down any further. Now you want to go round, bend round to the left and join back onto the path at the Beelach I was on earlier. Earlier on, I came to this point, looked down there. So it's brought me right back onto this path. Oh, a bit out of breath. Exactly where I want to be. Head up to that top now. So, having come round the corner here, you now want to follow the path, keeping to the right hand side of this ridge as we're descending. Fair bit of easy scrambling, going back down the same route we came up. And that'll take us back down to this lock-in below. I think I'm following more of a zigzag path that's not as steep as my ascent. I think I went more directly straight up. It's easier to see the route on the way down. You can see the wear ahead of you. It's not bad so far. That's good. Yeah, I'm making really good progress down this descent. A lot easier than it was going up. And you look back the way, you've no idea where the route is. But as you're looking down onto the route, it's really quite easy to follow. Again, the caveat being there's no cloud. When this place is thick in cloud, you won't see more than 20 feet, maybe even worse. Some of this rock is incredibly sticky, but it does rough your hands up a bit if you're not used to it. It's like climbing over very coarse sandpaper. You can smear on extreme angles that you wouldn't think possible. Then at the same time, there's other rock here that's a grey, very smooth rock, and that's not sticky at all. You do have to be cautious every time you place your feet. So I'm back down beside that big rock there, that big lump. According to the Walk Highlands route, I want to go down to where that Skye is, round it, and that'll take me out. I also know if I go around this side, there's an easy path down the other side. And I'm just going to take that because I know where it is. I don't know where to get onto that. It's meant to be just ahead. We'll see. So I'm going to go down and to the left of this big lump, and then once you get past it, take the path that goes down to the right. I've just come round that big lump of rock there, up onto this little beeline, and it's just down here. You go down straight ahead, down to the right, and you can see the trail zigzags and makes its way down there to the side of the loching. I wouldn't say this is the most used route. Still easy enough to see where people walked before. Getting a little bit precarious. It's going to bend round to the right, so hopefully it gets a bit easier. It makes its way down. I'm almost down. That path wasn't too bad at all. It just kind of ends here. It's all big rocks. Just make your way down and round to the left. You want to go all the way around the loching. Don't go straight across because there's a bit of water that cuts right up to the left there. It's mostly out of view because of the rock there. You want to go around the end of the loching and then back to where the little stream leaves. I'm back at the loching, just near the entrance to it where you leave. From here, just go directly ahead and then follow the path down to the left. It's taken 7 hours to get to this point. The walk out should be fairly quick. One small section to down climb on the scramble. After that it's just a bit of a steep descent, then a long walk out. Maybe an hour and a half to go. The terrain from here to the two tops, it is quite difficult to cross over. Very rough, uneven, and as you've seen, a fair bit of scrambling. Easy scrambling up to the first summit, hard scrambling to the second summit, but not terrible exposure. When you see that big grey rock with the river running down the side of it, you want to keep to your right. I'm going to cut round this corner. You can see there's lots of gravel paths. This just takes us to the top of the little scramble, and it's easiest to descend on the right hand side. So it's just straight ahead down there. I think I've come down too close to that waterfall. I need to go back up and over the top of that bit there and keep further to the right. It does look like people went up and down this bit. Probably isn't too difficult, but I'll retrace my steps. This looks more like where I came up this morning. Much easier, less scrambling, less steep section. So just keep well to the right. You'll know you're in the right place when you see this little bit of a wall, and that's the groove that I climbed up earlier. So it's not difficult. From there you can just make your way down there pretty much any way you want. Just don't go too far that direction to your left. Straight out along to the right. That's all the scrambling finished with. It's now just a walk back out. This morning I took the high path up to the right there. There's a cairn on a rock, so you aim for that and then you cut across, keeping quite high. But there is a path down here. The map shows this path going along and then joining up to the same path. So I'll try it this way, that way I can talk about both. You can see there's a big boulder field with big boulders, which might make it a little bit more tricky for navigating across that area, which is probably why that path is highlighted. But we'll see where this goes. So I've made it out underneath those massive boulders. Sometimes you're playing stepping stones on some rather large rocks. You do not want to go down there. You want to keep now to the right more and make sure you're going past that little high spot on the right hand side. Just straight ahead. A little bit more blue sky. Still a bit hazy. You can see the Isle of Rum over there. Still got some steep descent to do. It's not too much further until it gets a bit easier going. When you reach this little stream, it's 2.64 miles back to the car park. Just having a little rest, bar of chocolate and some water. Hopefully when I get up a little bit further down on the path, get a better view of the kiosk. You can see the kiosk lit up. It's definitely not as impressive from this angle as it is when you're going up Sgurr Dubh. But there it is there. The wind's died down again. There was no wind to speak of at summits, but once I came down and round the mountain there was quite a lot of wind. I think I'm in the sheltered bit again. Just approaching the campsite. Hope you've enjoyed the video. It's been 8 hours since leaving the car. As always, thank you for watching, and I look forward to showing you some more in the next one. I'm back at the car park, 8 hours and 20 minutes since leaving. Wind here is no less than it was this morning. Bye for now.